So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever you listen to this. This is Matthew Bailey alongside my critic and partner in crime, Ricardo Medina.
Hello, hello, hello.
And this is another episode of BS Beats Un Bailey. And today, we have quite a few shows to talk about. Two of which are from television. One of them is from Netflix at the moment. And the
Yeah,
other two are, well, one movie, I should say, is showing in your local theater.
right,
And the other film, which is available in VOD and for good reason, which I'll get to, is for some reason showing in theaters right now in Trinidad.
right.
I'm not too sure why it's showing at all, but I guess it's because of the name behind it. But so basically, what we're talking about. So basically, the shows we're going to talk about first. Well, you saw the first episode, at least the premiere episode of a new spin-off series for Stargate. I think it is.
Right.
Right.
We could talk about that. It's barely there as a series. I have no. Well, I'll talk about the nature of this thing.
Right.
Um,
So is
yeah.
it what is it? Is this Stargate? What exactly?
It's called Stargate Origins, and it's something akin to a prequel-ish to the events of the first movie.
Oh, really?
So, right. See, but you'll talk about it.
Okay. And the show that I will check out, and I'm real disappointed didn't check it out by Ricardo by
What's that?
season 2 of
Right.
Jessica Jones. By
Right.
that
Yeah.
show that everybody loves. Everybody loves. Well, I mean, I enjoyed the first season for the most part.
Yeah, me
I
too.
really got what they were getting at in terms of the not just the character but just of the genre itself. But this season here was a little tricky, so
Right.
it's a little challenging for me to actually review it. And this time, actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, the first time when we mentioned Jessica Jones was season 1, you reviewed it, but I didn't get around to watching
Yeah.
it. Or I think that's how it went. But in this case, roles reversed now. So I will tell you and everybody else
Right.
what my thoughts were on
Right.
season 2 of Jessica Jones.
Right.
And I have to do triple duty now because I also have to talk about two movies that I saw.
Well, I saw That Wish.
Oh, you saw That Wish.
I saw That Wish, yeah,
Oh,
but
okay,
I
okay.
didn't
Well,
see
this
I didn't
makes
see
things.
I didn't see Ting, the
All
other
right.
one you're talking,
Yeah, but
which both starred Bruce Willis.
yeah, this
Yeah,
this makes things pretty interesting here because I had to choose between Game Night, which I'll be reviewing, and Death Wish. So I flip a coin, and I was like, all right, I'll go for Game Night. At the same
right,
time, to Acts of Violence, which is the film
right,
that I will review. I had to flip a coin. I was like, all right, well, should I watch this or should I watch Death Wish? I mean,
right,
Acts of Violence was on video on demand for quite some time, so I could
right,
save a little money. I mean, I don't have to worry about going to see it in cinema. And besides,
right,
it's like a late show now because that's the thing. Like, with our cinemas down here, once a movie hasn't gotten that much traction, case in point, The Shape of Water, they will shift that to like 9:30 screenings and whatnot.
right. Yeah,
So yeah, I saw Acts of Violence. I'm now hearing that you saw Death Wish. So this makes
right.
things a
But
little
I,
bit
I
more
thought
interesting, man.
I thought you were going to talk about That Wish and Acts of Violence together as one
Well,
thing because they kind of blurring in your memory anyway. Both starring Bruce Willis. I'm not sure if
yeah.
both are the similar films.
Yeah, but
Uh,
it's a really really good thing that you talked about it because I really would love to do, well, even though I didn't see it, more like a comparison thing, but also about the career of Mr. Bruce Willis. Right?
right,
That's what we really had to talk about with both those reviews.
right,
Where he
right,
is right now as an actor and whatnot. But
right.
first things first, Stargate Origins. Feel free to
Yeah.
let us know how that went for you.
Boy. Okay, so I was gonna give a quick run through of my take on Stargate and how I am as a fan.
Right.
I personally love the Stargate franchise, but mostly from since the time of SG-1. I didn't really care for the first movie. This is the Roland Emmerich movie.
Mhm.
Wasn't the biggest fan.
Okay.
It was okay. A bunch of it didn't make a lot of sense in terms of the world building, but it had some decent concepts and some decent visuals. And yeah, Kurt Russell and what do you call him, Mr. Ultron himself, were pretty good in it.
Oh, James
Yeah,
Spader, wasn't it? Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Right.
James Spader was Daniel Jackson. He was the original.
Right,
Captain
right,
in it.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is a solid idea and story. And what make it cool? It was a different take on science fiction, especially the idea of how to travel in space. Like usually when you're thinking, Star Trek kind of dominate our collective unconscious when it comes to how to travel about space. You need a big giant ship, and the big giant ship need to fly at faster than light or in some shape or form.
Yes.
And with this, they say no. Let us come up with it feel like an inversion of the science fiction franchise. So it's what it is. What a Stargate is this basically this constructed artificial wormhole, and it's connected to a bunch of other constructed artificial wormholes that are scattered about multiple planets and galaxies. Actually, when you learn all the lore throughout the universe, and basically the characters go through. They have to dial it through a sequence of dialing like symbols, and you have to figure that out. That was basically the story. They went to another planet in the first film. Characters came and went and left behind and died and blah blah blah.
Right.
And yeah, it was a decent enough movie, not the best thing. But then SG-1 came about, and for me as a kid, SG-1 is brilliant. Now, I'm sure if you look back at some of the ratings, or if you look at the ratings of SG-1, it's actually quite mediocre.
Really?
But sci-fi fans will tell you the opposite. This is a perfect example of the critics not knowing what they're talking about. The fan base has been really, really vehemently strong and supporting of the show. The show has been very, very... One of the reasons why the show works so well is that even though it's really hokey and a bit cornball, it's a show that was very self-aware and had good production value. That's what made SG-1 good. And the characters work well together, so it had a great cast. This is MacGyver himself, who played Jack O'Neill, who replaced Kurt Russell's character. That is, what do you call him?
Richard Dean, right?
Richard Dean Anderson,
Yeah.
right. Richard Dean Anderson replaced Kurt Russell, and then this fella, the actor, I forget the actor who played Daniel Jackson, replaced James Spader as Daniel Jackson. Then you had Amanda Tappin as Colonel Carter, where she became Colonel Carter later. And then you had a new character introduced, a Goa'uld villain character who became a good guy called Teal'c. And yeah, it's a solid series, great series for me. It was perfect in my time because it came out 97, so I was I don't know, 12 or 13.
You tell me,
yeah, it was like 12 or 13 at the time. It was great. And then Atlantis came about. Atlantis was not a bad show necessarily, but then it was a little too paid by numbers in my opinion. It was not imaginative. I thought the cast was on average much weaker than the first series cast. It only had like 2 or 3 characters I genuinely liked. It felt like it dropped the ball when it came to like the imagination and the ideas. So it just felt like it was just running in place. But it's still well made and well done and good production values. And it looked great, as a series. Then the show, I don't know what happened, but somewhere along the lines, I think it's because of the success of Battlestar Galactica and the Stargate franchise, it got cancelled a little early and had a lot of behind-the-scenes shenanigans with MGM Studios. But Atlantis was cancelled pretty earlier than it should have, because you had SG-1 that got 10 seasons, and Atlantis got only 6 seasons.
Wow.
And
okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, I would argue that SG-1 should have only gotten 8 seasons, because the last 2 seasons of SG-1 didn't really fit with the rest of the series, in my opinion. Like, to me, they could have taken that whole story arc and put it in Atlantis, but whatever. That's hindsight. And so it got cancelled. It pretty much got dismantled, and from what I understand, a lot of behind-the-scenes shenanigans went down with a lot of people, a lot of crew being fired, people who was working on the franchise from since get-go, the beginning, or really early on. They got fired, they got replaced, some of the writers stayed, and then the tone with a new series, the tone shifted massively. So the show became more like Battlestar Galactica, very, very dark, and this was the advent of a show called Stargate Universe. Stargate Universe was probably one of the most divisive shows like ever. Like, that was the dress rehearsal for Man of Steel.
Huh.
Like, you see how people were really divided over Man of Steel?
Yes.
And that series is the same reasons. Like, it have no reason. The show, it dark for no reason. It kind of edgy, but it have no reason to be edgy. Some people hated the writing, but other people defended the show and thought it was actually very conscientious, but it just has different style of thinking. I personally was a big defender of the show. I actually really liked a lot what he was doing. My attitude, and I had the same attitude with respect to with Star Trek Discovery, was my position is I prefer innovation over stagnation. So I prefer something is innovative and relatively original, but it's not conscientious and perfectly polished, over something that just standing in place and being kind of stagnant, but very, very well polished. And that's why I kind of got from Atlantis as compared to Stargate Universe. Atlantis was well done, very well polished and very well made, but from an imagination concept standpoint, didn't really do anything that interesting. Whilst with Universe was doing something very, very, very differently, but it wasn't very well polished in terms of some of the writing. It had a couple of writing hiccups early on, especially, and a lot of people didn't like the tone. The tone was this dark tone that really was largely unwarranted, and I largely agree with that. But unfortunately, only 2 seasons. It did make money. This was a bad time as well because the financial crisis hit. So basically, the show got cancelled after 2 seasons. That was it, and that was a big disaster for a lot of people. I was kind of pissed myself. It's a show that it really started getting good at the end of season 2. And that's it. It got cancelled. The way they ended it in such a way where the show could start back at any time. But it's been roughly 7 years or so at this point. And yeah, all the actors, all the cast members move on. The sets have been dismantled. So what happened is that we heard that Roland Emmerich, this was about a year ago, Roland Emmerich wanted to take back the franchise. And my attitude is that no, the franchise flourished in spite of him, not because of him.
Right.
As I always make the analogy, the writers of SG1 and the creators of SG1, took his box of scraps and made an arc reactor, right? SG1 is an excellent, brilliant series that really thought out the world building, whilst his movie was utterly mediocre and forgettable. And it actually, you could have wiped away a lot of the stuff that he did in that movie.
Yeah, it was a popcorn movie.
But he wants to take back the franchise now, and it's like the worst thing, in my opinion, that could happen to the franchise, because he is not the right person to steward it, even though he's the creator. This is not like a Gene Roddenberry thing, because Gene Roddenberry still had decent ideas. Roland Emmerich had almost no good ideas, in my opinion. And you know why? Because I think he's a really bad filmmaker. I never thought he was that good of a filmmaker. I think he kind of get lucky with Independence Day.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much. Independence Day is still a set of bullshit. But you saw what happened in Independence Day.
But it's dumb popcorn fun. I watch it every once in a while.
But Independence Day is. But you saw what happened in Independence Day 2, right?
Of course, which I hate.
Yeah,
that was the worst movie of that year when it came out.
This guy, I think he's a person that just should stay away from the franchise. But whatever, he got back, and now they're doing something kind of weird, where they decide to do this weird 10-part web episode miniseries kind of thing, where it's 10.
That's why I haven't heard of it. It's a web series. Okay.
Yeah, it's a web series, and it was really under the radar. By the way, it just ended, and it's only because it had a big internet Twitter push, and I was like, I just found out the show started like last month, so I didn't even know at all.
Wow.
It's only because I'm a Stargate fan.
That's bad.
It's only because I'm a Stargate fan, and I follow we call him the guy who played Teal. Well, he's voice Kratos now in God of War. And he was the Dark Knight Rises. My name's slipping him right now. Christopher Judge. I follow Christopher Judge on Twitter, and it's because he was hyping up Stargate, and it's like, oh, what? And then it kind of clicked in my head. Oh wait, what's going on with that new series? In my head, I thought, oh, this series is not even close to finish, because a trailer came out, and the trailer looked like complete shit. Like it looked really like the worst production values, cheap as hell, really unpolished, like a total mess that's not finished. So I was thinking, oh, this thing at least a year or two away, right? Not to realize the whole thing done and come out already. It's like, all right, okay, let me check it out, what's going on. And well, I'm going to talk about that right now. It's a colossal waste of time and a mess.
Wow.
Hate it. Yeah, total nonsense. So I decided to binge it out, and for 10-minute episodes, you would think I would have rushed through it and burst through it pretty quick. It's 100 minutes, right? That's what? On what? Right.
Yeah, 140.
Right. Hour 40 minutes. That is most movies longer than that, right?
Mm-hmm. Most of our shows are longer than that.
Exactly. My thing is that this was a complete slog. I was like stressing, like I had to struggle to get through this once it reached around episode 7 or so. I just had to see where it's going, but geez, this was a mess. And the big problem is that, okay, so my first problem is that, what is the point of this? Because if here's the big problem, it looked terrible. It is really, really poorly acted. It's poorly blocked. It's poorly like editing is kind of shitty on average. It have a decent camera, but because the set so cheap and the lighting looking cheap, everything else looking cheap. Again, acting kind of bad, or it have a sort of bad humor and rush. Like again, they didn't even like punch up the script at all, so it's just a sort of bad dialogue right through. Everything bad. And my thing is, I do get what the point of this is, because if the idea is to be a new pilot, then you would think they would actually put a lot of effort and money into it to have a decent look, a good level of professionalism and polish, right? So if you have any potential financiers who not familiar with the franchise, they will be like, oh shit, this looking good. Nope, it's looking terrible. And the thing is, I don't mind that, but the thing is with Stargate was always kind of hokey, and again, I mentioned this earlier, it was always kind of hokey and cornball. So But what made it sell, what made Stargate sell, is that it had good actors, and the actors had good chemistry with each other, right? The original four, Colonel Carter, O'Neill, Daniel Jackson, and Teal'c, those four bounced off each other so well, and bounced off with all the other characters in the world so well, that you totally enjoy the pacing and the tone of it, even though it's a real cornbally show. And it's very self-aware as well. That's why it works. It's like Legends of Tomorrow. Legends of Tomorrow is a show that has a lot of bullshit in it, but the reason why it works is because of how self-aware everything is.
Yes.
It's how tongue-in-cheek everything is, right? It works, and that's why this show works. But at the same time, the world building and myth making is really, really enjoyable. At the same time, you're really interested to see it. The Goa'uld. You're really interested to see the other aliens. The Ashen. The what do you call it? The Alterans. The Ori. All of these high-level guys, right?
Right.
And you really got a good sense of that balance between a funny tone and a serious tone. And then what made it also work as well is the good production value. Even though that Stargate SG-1 was on a budget as well. But for some reason they really, they took that box of scraps and made the arc reactor. They get you to believe that a handful of hallways could really look like a lot. Other shows do less with more. Mm-hmm. And this show did that really, really well. And yeah, this show didn't even have anything close to that to the standpoint. It just had a bunch of dumb character arcs that didn't make any sense. It didn't work at all. The only thing I'm going to say, the only good I could try to pull from this is that the girl who played the main character, Katrin, she's kind of cute. And then they brought back a character who was in the show in Atlantis, who played another character in Atlantis. He's Trip from Star Trek Enterprise, and he played a character called Michael in Stargate Atlantis. Okay. Yeah, it's glad to see him again. I forget the actor's name. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So the story is this. What it is it's based on Katrin, the original woman from the franchise, right?
Right.
The one who discovered the Stargate in the beginning. Katrin, I forget her name. Katrin Langford, right? She's basically the person you could say started the whole Stargate program. So she what happens that she discovered some Nazis. She had the Stargate there, but then some Nazis came in and discovered that how to Stargate this works. So apparently this
Nazis.
Some Nazi figure out everything apparently, and he had a certain information. He had a book. So him, a couple of henchmen, and his, I think, girlfriend or wife, but she's like a filmmaker or something like that. They decide to follow them, and then they take Dr. Langford, or Katrin's father, hostage. And when they take him hostage, they decide to open the gate and go through. And basically they go to Abydos, which was the planet in the first movie, and it was kind of a key planet in the storyline.
Right.
So they go to Abydos, and then they discover that you have a character called Aset. Now in the movie, because since it's a prequel, it's trying to reference events from the movie, right? So in the movie you had Ra, and Ra was the main villain antagonist in that series, right? In this now, Aset is his girlfriend, Goa'uld girlfriend, who he resurrected, but now she's trying to betray him for some reason, and it's never clear why exactly she betrayed him, because she wants to have a child, but it's not fleshed out particularly well. Anyway, they go on to they Katrin and her boyfriend and his friend, all three of them open the gate a second time to go after the father. They find some hijinks. They find a young version of the old guy from the first film. That's I forget the character's name, Kofut or something like that. He's a character that's not important, but he's kind of important in the movie. And then that's it. They just had to rescue him. They beat the Nazi guy. I think they kill him, and then Ra comes down and kills Aset, and then they escape, and that's it. And then and by the way, and then I think Aset does something to Katrin and her father, so they forget, which is like the dumbest cop out ever. So they explain why she ignorant of the events of when the Stargate movie comes along, which is like 60 years later or however long later, like 50 years later, right?
Right.
And yeah, that's the story. That's pretty much it. And well, to her, it's just a dream. As far as she's concerned, it's just a dream that the events of this movie plays out. So they figure out a way to like stitch away the law now. Like, oh well, how come she didn't know this, that, or the other? Well, because she forget. Because this device, the Goa'uld, have the ability to make you forget, which I suppose is law friendly. It makes some sense. We see that device do something like that before in the show, so it's not a problem. But this was rubbish, total nonsense. I really don't know what the point of this was. I totally do not recommend watching this shit at all. It's just a colossal waste of my time. As a Stargate fan, I really worried that if this is the end of this, because this can't be any metric for like judging the franchise now. I mean, The only thing I'll say probably worse than this is maybe the short-lived cartoon series Stargate Infinity, which was
I didn't even know existed.
yeah, it was on Fox. It was terrible.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a waste of time. I mean, it's utterly shocking that they fucked this up so badly, because you would have think they would have put some effort on this. As I mentioned, the girl who's the actress who plays Catherine is pretty attractive. She has a very good screen presence, so that works. And she have decent, like, for the material, she does an okay job with it. But everybody else is like a rubbish actor. Especially the guy who played her boyfriend. He was terrible. He hated that dude. He had some Liam Hemsworth level of foolishness going on with our man. Like,
Jeez.
totally flat, but he just looking, you have good screen presence if you just take a picture, but once he start to act and emote, he's like a total waste of time.
Yeah.
Yes, real Charlie Hunnam level of foolishness there.
Lol.
Yeah, that is pretty much it. I had to just give this like something like a 1 out of 10. I mean, this is a colossal thing. This is total nonsense. I can't believe that they even, like, why even do this? Like, I'm sure it have people who make fan films that are better than this. It look like a fan film and it look like a shitty fan film. I can't believe, like, why is this part of the franchise, or anybody even like put this up? What's the point?
That's sad. But
yeah, I really wish a big studio put some money into the franchise, because the television series is, in my opinion, some of the best sci-fi I've ever had. I suppose it came in a perfect time for me in my formative years. It was better for me and more emotionally poignant than Star Trek. I'm gonna straight up say that, because of just the time it came out, and it was just different. It felt different. It felt imaginative. It felt conscientious, and it just felt well thought out. And it's really a shame to see the franchise come to this point. It's really shocking. Like, holy shit. Like, say what I want about Star Trek Discovery. At least Star Trek Discovery have good production value and they have good acting. But holy fuck, what is this? Anyway, that's my review.
Good review. And slight spoiler, folks. Ricardo's low review for that Stargate series is not the only low review you're gonna be hearing in this episode, because
right.
there's something else coming up that deserves that same that same score.
The other thing I saw, you're definitely gonna make a low review as well, because I'm gonna say why it's bad, but we're gonna talk about it.
So that makes 3 by. Okay, so
yeah. Anyway,
yeah. So we'll continue with the good. We'll continue with the good here. So I saw season 2 of Jessica Jones.
Right.
So I'll just jump into the review here one time. So for me, I was not the biggest fan of Jessica Jones, but I did enjoy it. I did appreciate it, not just because we had a female protagonist,
right,
but really more of the characterization, the way how her world and her character was fleshed out properly. I really love that.
Yeah, I was really surprised with season 1, because I was shocked at how mature it was. Because, like,
yes, that's the next thing I was gonna say.
I expected like with the Marvel Netflix stuff, when Daredevil set that tone, I was like, all right, this is gonna be it's still goofy, but it at least have that air of maturity. It's the Frank Miller type of stuff, right?
Yes.
And Daredevil really set that tone really, really well. It's not I don't take it too seriously, but it's still well done for the most part. But when Jessica Jones take about it, that to me put it on the next level of maturity by far.
Yes.
Even better than Daredevil on average. Definitely better than Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
Yeah.
For sure. And I was really shocked at how mature it is. So you could tell a lot of effort and energy, like from a writing standpoint, went into Jessica Jones to have that focus now. Because she's a character that really, she's not Wonder Woman, she's not Captain Marvel, she's not She-Hulk, but she's an interesting figure on her own, and she always had a big following in the comic thing now. So anyway, go ahead with your review. I really like season 1. But
but you're right. And on the subject of the mature subject matter, I was really surprised by how they touched on on the themes of rape and sexual violence and stuff. Like, this is something you would never fathom seeing or hearing about in a Marvel show, and somehow this show had the balls to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And not just that, but we also had excellent performance from Kristen Ritter, who I remember from Breaking Bad, one of my all-time favorite shows. I actually grew to like her, just being crass and always like, drinking a lot, just looking out for herself, always kind of, insulting other people, that kind of attitude. But somehow you cared about her when you really got to understand her story, especially with her relation to the character of Kilgrave, played by David Tennant, and I'll talk about him in a bit, right? So this season here continues right after the Defenders, and I'll also talk about the Defenders as well. So she's still doing the whole alias investigation stuff. Malcolm Ducassi He's
Right.
still there, taking orders from her. And for those who don't know, he is an ex drug addict. So basically, he's just doing that to just keep himself, you know, away from drugs. So he just wants to keep himself busy. And I mean, he is a dutiful person. He's always helping her out and stuff. Always
Right.
taking shit from her. Always taking insults, but he bears with it. And that's one theme that pops up in it. So Jessica's basically trying to move on from what happened with Kilgrave, and then also
Right.
she's questioning her powers. So it's kind of established early on that she does not want these powers. She wants to know why she has them in the first place, and then she
Right.
goes back to a memory that she had where with this car accident which happened when she was young, and then basically her friend Trish, who is played once again by Rachel Taylor. She learns, well, both of them learn basically that Jessica pretty much forgot what happened after that accident. So there's like a huge gap in her memory from when that accident took place to when she came out and actually got those powers.
Right.
So eventually they learn that there was this company involved called IGH. You're not too sure what their motives were, but apparently they were involved in some way, shape, or form with what happened with Jessica Jones. So Trish now is investigating this, and she's still doing that whole Trish talk show and stuff like that. Still being a voice, still trying to get her voice out there, basically.
Right.
But at the same time, she's trying to investigate this thing with Jessica. While Jessica is doing her own normal stuff, her own normal case, Trish is just trying to figure out what's this deal with IGH and all that kind of stuff. So later on, we learn that IGH was involved in pretty much, I wouldn't say capturing patients, but patients that were brought to the hospital, well, at least a select few were brought to this company, and experiments were done to them, and Jessica was one of those people
Right.
that had experiments done to her, and because of that she got those powers. So Trish keeps on digging. Jessica somehow becomes part of that when when a particular guy shows up, mentioning a particular issue that's going on with him, something bad that's happening to him, and then something happens to that guy. I'm not going to say what happens, and then she ends up getting embroiled in this whole thing because yeah, he was one of the patients in that same company. So later on, she learns now that there's this scientist guy who was involved, and the scientist guy was doing tests on a particular woman. Slight spoiler here, who just turns out to be Jessica's mother.
Okay.
So all this time, Jessica was on the assumption that her mother died in that accident. But it's like, no, she's actually alive. She's reborn. She actually has the same skill set as her daughter, but
Right.
she just has this rather violent streak. It's because of just a lot of personal trauma, and even before the accident took place, just a lot of drama went on with her. And we do get to see at least a few moments in Jessica's past, where she met a guy, and that relationship didn't turn out well because of the mother. That's all I'll say. And then Trish wanting to be this pop star. Well, at least she was a pop star at the time, because I actually forgot this from the last season. She was a former child star, and then she got into music,
Right.
and then she got into the talk show, and then there was something, a really dark moment that happened when she was working on a show during her
Right.
her childhood, where the director of the series was more or less sexually assaulted her, and in this season here she tried to get back at him. So it's basically seeing Trisha's past, we're seeing Jessica's past, and we also seeing Jessica's mother's past as well. um
Right.
and just how all these characters kind of tie into the situation here, because not to spoil anything, but Jessica's mother is like more or less like this fugitive at large. The police is trying to track her down because
Right.
they think that she's dangerous, not just to herself but to other people. She's deadly and whatnot. She type of person that if you corner her, she will fight back. She will break neck, snap necks and that kind of stuff. Also, at the same time, Malcolm is dealing with his own issues as well. Him trying to stay off drugs and stuff like that. And there's a moment where Trish becomes a major part of the narrative itself,
Right.
because during the investigation, she stumbles upon a particular drug. It's an inhaler. It's in a inhaler basically. So when she ingests it, it kind of um, basically it kind of widens her senses basically, right? So it's not like she could move at super speed or anything like that, but she's more aware. She could fight a little bit more and stuff like that. It just kind of amps up everything inside of her.
Right.
So But then eventually, because she's going through this whole issue, well, with her boyfriend at the time, he is this news reporter. So it's issues with him because she kind of feels that she's not the right woman for him, and then with her mother as well, who always was kind of trying to push her into the starlight spotlight and telling her what to do, and she pretty much blames her mother for the situation that she was in with that director that I just mentioned before.
Right.
But most importantly, the real thing is her looking at Jessica, and Jessica's just basically beating herself up and saying, "Oh, she doesn't want to be a hero anymore. She doesn't want to be a vigilante or a powered person, as they call them in the series here." So she's like, "Well, you know what? I would actually, not sell my soul, but what I wouldn't do to have powers just like you. I could actually change your will, and look, you have those powers, but you're not doing anything." So she sees this inhalant as this way of actually being able to do something, being able to experience life as a powered individual, but
Right.
it becomes an addiction to her, and we see how her character just deteriorates throughout the entirety of the season. Um, Another familiar face that shows up again is Jerry Hogarth, who's played once again by
Yeah.
Carrie Ann Moss. In this case, though, and this is like one disappointment I had, I thought that her story was going to tie into Jessica's, but unfortunately it doesn't. It's just really her dealing with the fact that her wife died. So it starts off with
Right.
her trying to move on with it, and once again she delves into certain addictions. She even brings home a particular woman who is involved in Jessica and Trisha's case, but
Right.
and she's thinking that she may have some kind of powers, or somebody else that she's associated with. Well, actually her boyfriend has powers as well that could help her out, because she has she learns that she is suffering from ALS, right? And she's trying to figure out a way to be to rid herself of that, basically. And also at her law firm, this is I think it's three people basically in the law firm. So the two members of that law firm trying to basically kind of kick her out nicely. And they figure,
Right.
well, you know what, you're sick, you're gonna die, so we kind of want you out. We'll pay you this check. You'll just move on now, because
Right.
we kind of see that your time is coming. So yeah, so it's that kind of thing going on. But like I said before, unfortunately it does not tie into Jessica's or Trisha's story, and that kind of left me rather disappointed. So let's jump into the review here one time, right? So uh so basically the main theme of this series, of this season here I should say, is the idea of pain, the idea of personal demons and loss, and how we deal with it, on a day-to-day basis, whether it's through drugs or booze or sex, right? And all these characters go through that in some way, shape, or form. It's all from Jessica all the way down to Jerry. It's all of them feeling like there's this void inside of them, right? And they're trying to deal with it somehow. Just in Jessica's case, like I said, is just the fact that she is this super powered. I want to say powered, but I'll get into why I'm saying powered. So
Right.
she doesn't want to be this powered individual anymore. She wants to be normal. She wants to have a normal life. And in that flashback scene, or I should say it's a flashback episode, we really get to understand why it is she would feel like that. Why it is she would feel so lonely, even when she reaches out and she actually finds somebody. But the way how that ends, it's like, geez, but it's like, wow, you really feel sorry for her.
Right.
In the case of her mother, it's a matter of wanting to connect with her daughter again, even though the daughter really doesn't want anything to do with her, for obvious reasons. Malcolm, like I said, with the drug abuse. Trish, because she just wants to do good. She wants to change the world, but she just doesn't know how, and she just kind of just systematically just keeps messing things up again and again and again. But performances wise, before I forget, the woman who plays Jessica's mother, Alyssa Jones, her name is Janet McTeer. I thought, to me, she delivers the best performance in this whole show.
Right.
She
Nice
brought
one.
really, she brought a sense of emotion, a sense of just vulnerability to her character. She cries a lot, she screams a lot. When she gets emotional, you feel it every time she does. And yeah, they kind of play on the whole superpowered human being. She's the type of person that could pretty much get herself hurt, but somehow she comes out of it unscathed, like that. You know what I mean? She's still hurt, but she always kind of finds a way to get out of it because she has the super strength and whatnot, right? But I thought that she, just her performance is great. Her and Kristen Ritter have great chemistry, on-screen chemistry together. They really
Right.
do feel like mother and daughter, right down to their attitudes. It's almost like they're the same person. They drink a lot, they swear a lot, they always
Right.
argumentative, but
Right.
at the
Right.
same time, they really do have a love and a care for each other and a concern for each other. Um, Rachel
Okay.
Taylor, I
Right.
thought she was,
That makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, I thought she was great as Trish. Um, but one thing about her character, though, she makes a lot of bad decisions. And for some people, that might be a turn off. Is like, why would you do that? That is just so stupid. People telling you, don't do this, but you're still doing it. But it's when you kind of understand why she's doing it, it kind of makes sense. I could understand where she's coming from. Even though it just ultimately comes off as just a poor excuse to just do a bunch of, just to do a set of shippers, basically. Um, Carrie Ann Moss, I thought that she was great as Jerry, but once again, I felt that there could have been more to her character in terms of Jessica's story. Basically, it's just like she had her own separate tale, and there was really like no need of them kind of separating her story from everyone else's. I thought that was like a letdown for me. The side characters I thought were great as well. Rebecca De Mornay, she actually plays Trisha's mother. I haven't seen her in anything in a long while. You know what I mean? So she was cool. She played that needy mother. Always think that she know what's best for her daughter. Even though your daughter's like, no, leave me alone, that kind of stuff. And on the subject of Kilgrave, David Tennant actually shows back up again.
Right.
However, though, it's all in Jessica's head.
Okay.
Slight
No,
spoiler.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Don't do
And
that. Yeah.
while I wish they could have done that more, unfortunately, they opted for like the latter half of the season, like in the last couple of episodes. Well, one episode in particular where he does show up prominently, just taunting Jessica every time she's trying to make a decision. When Jessica's on the edge, he's just there, kind of talking to. There's even moments where you see two versions of Kilgrave just talking to her. And technically it
Right.
looks cool, but I felt it was just too late in my opinion. He should have been there from the beginning. And now I'll just get to the flaws with this series, because unfortunately this season has quite some flaws. So for one thing, talking about Kilgrave, there wasn't like a real antagonist in this season, unfortunately. Like in season one, there was Kilgrave, there was all these other characters involved, but it was really about Kilgrave and how, the psychological trauma that he was putting Jessica through, and how she was able to rise above that. So that really got myself and other viewers, and I know you as well too, Ricardo, eager to see what the next episode was about.
Right.
But here,
Right.
because there's no real villain here, like I can't really call Alyssa Jones a villain. I can't really call the guy who treats her. His name is Carl Malus,
Right.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's all right. That's a character.
okay. I didn't know that. I'm actually not familiar with the characters in the Jessica Jones world. So yeah. But he's just his normal scientist. He's not a mad scientist, but he has reasons why he more or less resurrected, quote unquote, Alyssa, and he also loves her as well too. It's genuine, even though to Jessica it's just like, once again, why is this man doing this? You basically resurrect this woman to, like a bride of Frankenstein kind of thing. So that just pisses her
Right.
off entirely, right? And then again, it's Jessica's mother, so right there. But once again, I can't really call him a villain as well. There's also a character by the name of Price Cheng, his name, who is played by Terry Chen. He is this guy who, he has his own detective agency as well, and he was trying to get Jessica to be on board, but
Right.
she wasn't about that. And then he kind of gets in the way of Alyssa as well. So he tries to kill Alyssa. So, but once again, he's not really a villain, you know. So really and truly, when you think about it, there's no real true antagonist. It's just characters that are in the way of other characters' development, or their progress or their goals and whatnot. Another thing too, and sorry I had to say this, but the pacing in this. Now
Right.
I know people will defend the first one. They love the realism in it, and I actually appreciate the realism in it. The way how you could relate and feel it. Jessica Jones and all these other characters feel real, with the exception of Kilgrave, of course. But they do feel like real characters. It's not like, all right, Matt Murdock, I know you are a superhero, so you have to do superheroics, even though you'll have scenes with all they in some coffee shop or whatever. You know what I mean? You see them as superheroes. But in this
Right.
case here, because I love the fact also too that they refer to these to like people like Daredevil and Luke Cage as powered heroes or powered individuals,
Right.
not super powered. They leave out
Okay.
the
Right.
word
Yeah. I get that.
super.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a great way of setting up the idea that yes, this is going to be a hands-on, a really gritty, a really realistic portrayal of what it means to be a vigilante or a hero in New York City at this day and age. It's not like Avengers level. We're not gonna get that here. You know what I mean? It's real people. And these characters do feel real, and I love that about the show. But once again, but just because of that, and because they have to play things so real, there are moments where literally I was asking myself, are we going to get any action? Are we going to get any
Right.
tension? Are we going to get any excitement? I mean, the whole series kind of plays out like this sort of, this detective film, this detective story slash neo noir slash thriller, basically. But it's not like a action, like moments of action like what we got
Right.
with Luke Cage or Daredevil, and to a lesser extent Iron Fist. But it's way better than
Right.
Iron Fist. But it does have that kind of sluggish pacing as well. But it's
Right.
only because of how these characters are realized and how properly fleshed out they are, even when they do bad things. That's what really piqued my interest throughout. But still, there were moments where I was like, all right, give us some tension, man. Come on, pick up the
But as a
pace.
character too, That's a character too, so you don't expect the character to have any major action scene. I know Daredevil is a big action show, but that's why I don't really expect it that in this. Really?
Yeah, well, I do understand what you mean. I do understand, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, but here's the big issue with me. To many people, this will be minor, but to me, this is the major reason why this season two didn't work as well as it should have for me. I'll say it in one word: Defenders.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. The
because
context of defenders
Defenders
train
came.
it
Yeah,
off. Yeah.
because Defenders came out, and it was where it was, where it's these heroes come together, and they're fighting, and it's action. When there's moments of action, of course, and then to jump back into drama, family drama, personal drama, a few moments of tension, some nail biting moments, but not really too much to have you on the edge of your seat. It's just like a weird departure, you know what I mean? It's
Right.
almost like if the Avengers came out and you got Captain America Winter Soldier, but Winter Soldier turned out to be like this Cold War spy film, and
Right.
there was
Right.
no action at
That's a good.
all.
I like that comparison.
Yeah,
That make a lot of
that's
sense.
how it feel. That's how season two of Jessica Jones feels like, in my
Right.
opinion. It really does feel like that, because yeah, with Defenders, I mean, hate it or love it, it was that team up that we all wanted to see us. So
Right.
after that, it was like, okay, well, where these characters gonna go? Well, with Iron Fist, I want to know if we're gonna get. Well, I know nobody wants to see a season two of Iron Fist in a hurry, but even with Iron Fist season two, if it does come out, you want to know, all right, well, we gonna get more action here. Luke Cage, I don't have to worry about that. Daredevil, whenever we get a season three or whatever, I don't have to worry about that, because Daredevil always had that nice balance of drama and action anyway. So I don't have to worry
Right.
about that at all. But yeah, with Jessica Jones, but because it set it up like, okay, yeah, she's just punch, and she could, she's super strength and stuff like that. She's not a
Yeah.
fighter per se, but she could hold her own. And then to bring her into this whole thing where it's just drama and heavy drama and somber drama, it's like, yeah, it's just a really, really odd kind of departure from what we got here. And personally, while I like not, I didn't love it, but while I liked Defenders, I felt that Defenders could have really should have come out after both season two of Jessica Jones and
Right.
the upcoming Luke Cage season two. I felt that it could have come out then because for one thing, these characters, and yeah, well, Iron Fist, I guess, but it could have developed those characters even more because look at what they did with Daredevil, right? Where okay, it's not just about him being a hero, but it's how he maintains his persona and his friends and how they pretty much left him. Well, Foggy, for example, who makes an appearance here in season two of Jessica Jones, but it's how him being a hero kind of affects his overall persona and the people around him. So it kind of makes sense here going into Defenders, where he'll be kind of he probably wouldn't be keen on teaming up with people, which we saw in Defenders. It's like, well, I kind of don't want to team up with all. I want to do my own thing. And
Right.
with Jessica Jones here, well, especially what they set up here, where she questions, where she doubts herself, she doesn't want to be a hero, and the way how this season here ends, which I will not spoil, um, would have been a great way to set up the Defenders as well. It's like once again she's doing a job. That's how she gets to pay the bills. She still doesn't like the fact that she has these powers, but she has to get by. You know what I mean? And that would have been
Right.
a great way to lead into Defenders. But because Defenders came out too quick and it was rushed, Larry admitted it was too rushed. Yeah, it really brought down the season here, unfortunately. At least in my opinion. But yeah, overall, I would say I wasn't completely disappointed by this, but this was a little bit of a letdown for me.
Okay.
Just off the strength of season one and what it did. For one thing, like I said, we could have had an antagonist. I like that it's more internal now. It's more about Jessica Jones's self doubt and just those personal demons. I love the idea that it's about these characters dealing with their demons and they're using addictions to deal with it, and it's just how their lives kind of fall apart and the lives of other people fall apart as a result. There's a powerful team actually, and it makes for some genuinely emotional moments in the season. But once again, just because of what we got with the Defenders and with this character here, and with how the world building that has been established here with these shows, it's like we're going back to this drama thing again. Give us some more tension. It's season two. You know what I mean? And while it is slightly darker than the first one, in my opinion, we could have
Right.
gotten some more thrills. We could have gotten some more action. I mean, come on. This not too much, but just enough to keep me riveted. That's the thing. Instead of drama, 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 which is riveting enough, but still, once again, the world of this Marvel, TV universe, I wanted more. That's the thing.
Okay.
So, for me, I would give this a strong 3.5 out of 5. This is still worth watching regardless. If you are a die-hard fan of the first season of Jessica Jones as a whole, because yes, she is probably one of the best superhero characters I've seen on TV in quite some while. Admittedly, just because of how down to earth and how real she is.
Right.
Then you'll enjoy it. But I don't know, but you just have to have like Zen like patience to come out of it and say, yeah, this was much better than the first one. You will see the flaws, you will make out the pacing issues, you'll really feel that sluggish pace of it, and you really will wish that you got a villain, somebody better than Kilgrave. Because Kilgrave
Right.
left an impression here. In that last season, and even in this season, even though he shows up in one episode, he left an impression here too. But I wish that we could have gotten more, unfortunately. And in closing, I get that, it's the idea of them wanting to really explore this character. That's noble. That's admirable. I really like that. Explore the character, explore these characters as a whole, and how they are dealing with their problems. I love that. But still, once again, it's a superhero series. It's in a world with superheroes, and I'm not saying you have to stop the show to give us these, over the top fight scenes and whatnot, like what they did with the Defenders. But still, give us a reason to be excited, to be at the edge of our seat instead of somber drama, 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 drama. But yeah, like I said, if you were a diehard fan of the first season, then you'll appreciate it. If you found that the first season was a little too slow, a little too boring, then you'll find this one to be a chore to sit through. But I still say give it a look. There's much to really appreciate here, from the acting to the from the performances, sorry, to the direction, to the music. I thought the music was excellent here. And yeah, well, I don't know if we're gonna get a season three of this. I really hope so, but I hope that they do give us more, you know, more excitement, more action, and of course, a real villain this time. So yeah, three
Right.
and a half out of five seems fair to me.
Okay.
So yeah, give it a look if you feel
Yeah,
like it.
yeah, no, I definitely gonna give it a chance to watch. I doesn't find time for this week, just in time for the show, but yeah,
Yeah.
definitely
And
gonna
I'll
take
actually recommend, unless you really had the patience, I wouldn't recommend binging it. I
Okay,
actually recommend you take your time and watch through the episodes. You know.
right.
Yeah. So I tried binging it, and I'll admit I was a little. It felt like a chore to me, in my opinion. But because, once again, because of the characters, and because you do relate to them and you do like them in some way, shape, or form, I couldn't help to look forward to see what happened next.
See.